I walked down the street, practicing what I would say. Sure, it was an odd request, but everyone is used to fraternity pledges doing odd things. It figures that I would be the one stuck with this job. The others were bigger, and I really wanted my pledge brothers to like me. Besides, I did get to meet some of the sorority girls, the sister group to the fraternity. That's one of the great things about college, right? The chance to meet new people? Well, I had my chance. But I never thought I'd be asking them this. There's the house, a typical Greek letter home, pretty well kept up, nicer looking than the frat house. The large Delta Gamma letters in pink and green hung down from the third story. Why was I stalling? Yes. The young woman, probably a couple of years older than my 18, didn't seem upset with me knocking on her door. She looked me over without giving me a how dare you look. She was just being nice. This might not be so hard. Right, so, I should stop staring at her neat blonde hair and just go on. Hi. My name is Jim. Sorry, this is kind of awkward. Very smooth, Jim. She smiled. You must be a Theta Omega pledge, right? I nodded. Yes. I think I remember you from that get-together 2 weeks ago. Sandra, right? She beamed. That's right. I do remember your face. The quiet one. Come on in. I entered. The first floor was an open common area, similar to the frat house, but of course much more tasteful. The furniture matched, and the place was spotless. Pictures of previous Delta Gamma members were hung on the walls in class portraits. There was a small library and study area, and in the back was clearly a dining room and kitchen. These old houses, well, mansions, were great. She motioned for me to sit down and sat herself, crossing her jeans-clad legs. So, how can the Delta Gammas help you out? I must have blushed, but I figured I should just say it. Okay. Deep breath. The pledge party is next week, and the pledges are supposed to do a skit for the fraternity. My pledge brothers came up with an idea, and I was elected to get what we need. She looked a little confused. The sorority can't perform in your skit. How could we help you? Nothing left to do but explain. We decided to dress up like girls and do a funny dance routine. I waited for her reaction. Sandra laughed. All right, I get it. So you need costumes? Exactly, I said. 8 of us are going to do it. Can you spare that many outfits? Sandra smiled. I'll ask my sisters, but I don't see a problem. She looked me over. With a bit of work, you could probably pull off the look. I laughed. Thanks. I think. Fortunately, it will just be that one night. She nodded. So, when? Next Friday night. Can I come by on Thursday to pick the stuff up? She nodded, and I stood. I shook her hand, which seemed a little formal, but she just smiled. This was going great. The week went by quickly. My classes kept me busy, but my pledge brothers were impressed that I could talk to an upper-class woman and get her to help us out. Of course, none of them would come with me to pick up the costumes. Oh well, I'd have to go to the sorority house all by myself. What a challenge. I looked at my watch. About 3 hours until the party. Plenty of time to get the stuff and get ready. Sandra was there waiting for me, along with one of her sorority sisters. Sandra introduced us. Kim helped me get the costumes together. I have about 10 outfits, I hope that's enough. That's perfect. We only need about 8, but now we can find something that fits everyone. Sandra and Kim showed me what they'd gathered. I figured you'd want dresses and skirts, right? Sure enough, 8 dresses, 2 skirts, some sweaters and tops, and a bunch of sandals and flats. I asked, this is great, but why the extra accessories? Kim grinned. You're putting on a show, right? You'll need the complete look. Sandra looked me over. You might want to try something on, to be sure. That's okay. I'm sure I'll find something. They exchanged glances. What, are you nervous? I chuckled. Well, it's already enough that I'll be dressed up in front of the guys. I'd rather not rehearse in front of you, too. Kim smirked. If you're going to borrow our stuff, the least you can do is show us how it works. I hesitated, then realized I didn't have time to get other costumes. All right, fine. I'll try something on. It's no big deal. Great. Kim went through the clothes. What do you like, Jim? I chose something safe. I guess that blue skirt and sweater combo would be okay. Sandra handed me the full set. Here you go. I took the clothes. Thanks. I'll change in the side room. Sighing and muttering to myself, I went off to one of the side rooms. This looked like a small study area, with lots of bookshelves and a couple of desks. We definitely didn't have that at the frat house. I looked at the clothes. I may as well get this over with. The undergarments were plain white cotton, thankfully. I quickly changed, moving fast so they wouldn't peek in. Putting on the top half was a challenge. I almost had to ask them for help, but eventually figured out the close it in front, then spin it around trick. It didn't fit perfectly, but it stayed put. I slipped on the white full slip, it felt smooth, then pulled on the full skirt and cable sweater. The things I do for my pledge brothers. I walked into the other room and was met by a camera flash. Hey! No pictures. Sandra laughed. I was already getting tired of that laugh. Too bad, Jim. Our clothes, our rules. Let's see how you look. Spin around for us. I'd be glad when this night was over. I spun, and the skirt flared. More pictures were taken, and Kim grinned. Jim, you look very stylish. Gee, thanks. Look, I think it fits, though the sweater's a little snug. At least the skirt stretches. Have you had enough fun? Nope. Sandra pulled out a floppy hat. Try this. I put it on, whatever. More pictures. I'll throw in some hats with the costumes, I think they help the look. He should be one of our pledges, Sandra. Kim laughed, and so did Sandra. I laughed too. I don't think so, but thanks for the offer. I'm going to change now, okay? Kim smiled in a teasing way. If you ask us nicely, then you can change and we'll let you take the clothes. Sandra smirked. I sighed. Please, Kim and Sandra, may I change my clothes now? Not quite nice enough, Sandra said, demonstrating a playful curtsy. Kim laughed even more. I rolled my eyes. Okay. I grabbed the sides of the skirt like she did, dipped down, lowered my head slightly, and said, Please, may I go change my clothes now? Flash, another picture. They waved me off. Sure, go ahead. You need to get going, you don't want to be late. I hurried to the other room, changed back into my own clothes, and came back. They had packed everything into garment bags. You'll return these tomorrow, right? Yes, and thanks again. For dressing you up. Sandra teased. Anytime. No, for lending me the costumes, never mind. One day in a skirt is enough. I left quickly. I made it to the party in time. My pledge brothers couldn't believe I'd gotten the costumes. The frat brothers were already partying, so we got dressed for our skit. We all looked ridiculous, but it went over well. We got the typical light-hearted jokes and whistles, but we kept it comedic, just enough to get laughs. Nobody wore the extra layers, and nobody cared. It was a success. The downside was that drinks got spilled on some of the outfits, but I figured it wouldn't be a big deal. Saturday morning, I returned the costumes. Sandra wasn't pleased. You didn't even clean these. She wrinkled her nose at the drink smell. I honestly didn't know how to clean these fabrics without damaging them. This dress will need dry cleaning. I don't have much money. Look, I'm sorry. I wish I could help. Sandra frowned. You can help. I want you to wash, dry, and iron these, and take the dresses to the dry cleaners. I'll give you the money for that. I chuckled nervously. I have a pledge meeting this afternoon, I can't miss that. Kim walked in, saw the clothes, and agreed I should help. I'd had enough, so I stood up. Again, thank you for the costumes, and sorry for what happened. The spills weren't my fault. It doesn't matter, Jim, we trusted you. And you're staying. She stopped me and showed me a photo of me in the skirt and sweater, mid-spin. I took the picture. You can keep it if you like, she teased. We have more. I sighed. This is like something out of a sitcom. You can't really be threatening me over pictures. Sandra smiled. Call it a little extra motivation. Now, are you ready to start laundry? But what about my pledge meeting? Looks like you're going to miss it unless you work really fast. Gritting my teeth, I said, fine. Let's get this over with. They high-fived. Instead of football, I was now doing laundry. Kim took charge, showing me the laundry room and ironing board. When I mentioned I usually threw all my clothes in one load, she explained how to separate everything. Then other sorority sisters brought down more clothes. Can we keep him as our laundry guy all the time? Amy joked. I just shook my head. I put in the first load, then gathered the dry cleaning items. Even more clothes appeared. Before I left for the cleaners, Emily called out, Hey, Jimmy, as long as you're out, can you pick me up the latest magazine? What? You know, the magazine, Cosmopolitan? I know what it is. I'm not buying any fashion magazines. Kim gave me a look. I really don't like your attitude. You'll pick it up, and you'll thank Emily for the idea. My jaw dropped. Are you serious? She just smiled. I guess I have a website to update. She started to walk upstairs, but before I knew it, I called out, Wait! Don't, okay. Just, don't go overboard, please? Kim looked at me. Don't you have something to say to Emily? Ugh. I looked at Emily and managed to say, Thank you, Emily, for asking me to get that magazine for you. She patted my shoulder. You're welcome. Maybe I'll even let you borrow it when I'm done. They all laughed, and I decided I needed to get out of there, so I grabbed the clothes and left. The dry cleaners wasn't too bad. They said the items would be ready on Wednesday and gave me the tickets and the bill to be paid then. I stopped off at a convenience store. It wasn't crowded, but I did have to ask someone to move so I could grab the magazine. She smiled and told me she liked that issue. I just paid and left. I was sure everyone thought it was for me, and I wanted to disappear.